The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
And here we are at the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author. And here's a city name that you may not be expecting to hear on the Florida Beer Podcast, Opa-locka. Yes, we are in Opa-locka, the lightly Arabian Nights themed city in Miami-Dade County. And I'll tell you why in a few seconds, but first make sure to follow us on social media if you don't already. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Florida Beer Blog, on Facebook at FL Beer Blog, or you can find us on the Florida Podcast Network closed group. That's FPN Insiders. Just search for us, make a request, we'll get you in as soon as possible. We're also on the web at FloridaBeerBlog.com, FloridaBeerPodcast.com, and of course, FloridaPodcastNetwork.com. But today we are going to talk about Ismael Fernandez and the team at Legacy Caribbean Craft Brewery. They are a tiny little facility in Opa-locka, very close to the airport. And he and his team, well, his family, have been doing some amazing things over the past several years. And what's really neat about them is they are kind of tucked in the way of a little industrial park, but you walk in, and it's an absolutely wonderful location. It feels like you're in the Caribbean, even though you're in the middle of such a tiny little place. It's absolutely wonderful. And I definitely recommend that everybody head there as soon as you can to try one of the most amazing little inventive breweries in Miami-Dade County that I just don't think gets nearly enough love. So you're going to hear about them, you're going to hear about their amazing story, and you are going to be able to experience everything that is chatting with Ismael Fernandez on his first interview, I do believe. And as such, we do want to let you know that listener discretion is a bit advised. We went ahead and let Ismael sort of go, and, well, he loves a number of things, including F-bombs. So we'll go ahead and let you listen to everything in all its glory, but I promise you it is an amazing story. It's an amazing view into beer and brewing in Miami-Dade County that you don't really hear a whole lot about sometimes. So please enjoy our interview. As I was talking to Steve, I was trying to tell him a little bit of the history. Because what's great about you is that it's not what most people are like. It's like, oh, I started home brewing in my garage, blah, 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 blah. You go back generations, and you start in the Dominican Republic. So can you give me a little flavor of that? Yeah, I mean, take as long as you need.
Without mentioning the name of the place over there?
Yeah, because we don't like that place over there. As you'll find out pretty soon, Steve.
Well, my grandfather was the first commercial brewer. My grandfather was the first commercial brewer in the Dominican Republic, 1932. He's the person who wrote the recipe for the national beer of Dominican Republic. The history behind him, he never liked brewing beers. It wasn't his thing. He was a shoemaker, loved making shoes. Even after being the brewer, he used to make shoes for everybody in the house. That was what he used to like doing. But how did
he get involved into making beer then?
Well, because his father was involved with a lot of corporate and government things in the Dominican Republic back in the 1920s. So he would take him around whenever he would fly to Europe and then come back. So he had him learn while he was in Europe. When the Dominican Republic finally decided that they were going to have a brewery, they went ahead and they ended up getting 6 guys to be able to figure out how to make a brewery happen in Dominican Republic. One of the 6 guys happens to be my grandfather's father, my great-grandfather. So they finally had everything set up. They started building everything in Dominican Republic. They brought a brewer from Berlin who was going to brew in Dominican Republic. The brewer went to Dominican Republic, hated the fucking place. Okay, so right before they opened up the place over there, the guy just picked up and left. Didn't like it, left. They were looking for another brewer to come in. They had nothing. They asked my great-grandfather, okay, to find somebody quick because they had already started building everything. They needed somebody there. So my great-grandfather said, my son knows how to brew. We will have him brew do the first recipe out, and then whatever happens after that, it needs to be changed, we'll change it. So they brought my grandfather in. He wrote the recipe for the national beer over there. It so happens that the damn recipe hit. And my grandfather ended up getting stuck being the head brewer in a company where he didn't want to be a head brewer at. Then the Dominican Republic ended up having a dictator taking over the island. When the dictator also took over the national beer of the Dominican Republic. My grandfather then got stuck being the head brewer of this brewery that he never wanted to be part of. He wasn't allowed to retire until 1976 when Balaguer, which was the sort of dictator president guy of the Dominican Republic after Trujillo got killed, allowed my grandfather to be retired. So he served for that company from 1932 till 1976 when he was allowed to be let go.
And during this time, he's also growing fruits and stuff for your grandmother, correct?
Well, because my great-grandfather was part of the government in the Dominican Republic, he was allotted land over there, which when my great-grandfather, Bruno Diaz, passed away, it ended up going to my grandfather and his brother. So they split up, and they had this huge farm. And people lived in the farm, and they did all kind of things. So they allowed people to live in the farm as long as they helped grow the crops in the farm. So all these people were living there and just helping grow all these fruits. And my grandfather used to also sell fruits from there. Well, he didn't sell it. The people used to sell it and give him money. That's the truth. Okay, but it was his because the whole farms were his. A part of the farm was set up just for my grandmother because my grandmother liked flowers and fruits and certain things there. So it was set up for her because he was crazy in love with my grandmother. Even at the old age, me growing up over there, me being a little kid and seeing them as old people, he was always still in love with my grandmother. So for him, that was like Queen Mom. So the part was, of the farm that was hers was only for her fruits that no one can touch. You cannot sell. You can't, nothing. It was her stuff. So, and her favorite fruit was guava. So every time that they would grow guava, the guava would be taken to my grandmother, and my grandmother would make sweets and juices and shakes and whatever it was that she liked. And she had as much as she wanted because he had the farm for it. So
That's kind of amazing. So he's finally let go of this national brewery.
In 1976.
Yeah.
In 1976, he was let go of that. And my mother ended up bringing us back to the United States. Us meaning my brother and myself. It ended up bringing us back to the United States because my grandfather was already old. My grandmother was old. My mom said, you guys are American. You guys were born here. We'll bring you guys here so you guys can start getting used to being here. So she brought us back to the United States. While we were here, we just started growing up, whatever. And while I was in the Dominican Republic, my grandfather used to brew at home for the holidays. When he used to brew for the holidays, I used to brew with him because I was his little right-hand man. So whenever he needed anything done, he would ask me to help him, and I was the one that had to watch the pot while he was smoking his cigars behind me. which to me was fun. It seems like work, but to me it was fun. You know? Well, fast forward, I'm in the U.S. I start going to junior high school here. Kids love drinking when they're young. I knew how to make alcoholic drinks, so I became very popular in junior high. Okay? I always had something, and nobody had to buy it. so we were always good. Fast forward even further, I don't know, 2009-ish, my younger brother, who has never been to the Dominican Republic, never got to meet my grandmother and my grandfather, okay, we started talking about family tree. Back then, we were all into the family tree and finding out where we come from and all these things. So we started writing up a family tree, and he starts asking me about my grandfather, and I was like, you know what? Let's take a trip to the Dominican Republic. We're gonna make it better. We're gonna go to his place. We'll see. Anything there? Okay. Good. Okay. So I tell him we're gonna go to the place where he used to work at. Hopefully, we'll see a picture of him on the wall somewhere because he did write the damn recipe. He did work there forever. So there'll probably be something there we could take a picture next to it, and we could use that in the family tree. It turns out that in the Dominican Republic, like in any other corporation, the only people that they give a fuck about is the owners of the place. Okay, you could work for any company you want to. Nobody gives a fuck about you. They only give a fuck about the big guy who does nothing. So I was lit. I was fucking pissed off. Okay, I asked all kind of questions. I wanted some kind of records that had my grandfather's name on it, so that nothing shows up, because they don't hold no records of any employees. They hold records of only the owner, because the owner was the one that carried the bales. The owner was the one that bid the beers. He's the one that really made the beer. The fucking best never did shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Which is why I hate that fucking company.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they took advantage of a lot of people and then took all the credit out of it, knowing damn well that everybody else that was there was the one that made this fucking place work. Because the place was not fucking small. Okay? Me as a little kid, I remember being there and seeing how big this fucking place was. Okay? The least you could do is acknowledge, so-and-so, take a fucking picture with everybody, hang it on the wall. You don't have to say their names. Hang it shit on the wall, acknowledge something. Well, it didn't happen. So I was fucking lit. We come back to the U.S., and I was still fuming about this. Every time that we would bring up the family tree, I would get pissed off. So my brother tells me, do you remember Papa's recipes? And I goes, like, of course. I used to brew with him all the fucking time. So he goes, why don't we fucking start brewing it? And open up a fucking place down here. And I said, how the fuck are we gonna do this shit? And he said, we'll try. So I said, all right, we're gonna make a couple of beers. We'll put them into a couple of competitions. And if it's something that is meant to be, the people will tell us. So he said, all right. So him and I started doing a couple of beers. We did Mulatto first. We entered it in Montana. We came in first. So my brother was like, what do you think? And I said,
There's something going on here.
So I said, I don't know. It could be a fluke. Because I'm one of those people that would doubt myself a lot. And I have to be sure of something before I jump into a hole. So I was like, I don't know. Let's see what's going on, what else can happen. So we went ahead and we did my grandmother's dedication beer, which is Doña Rosa. It's a guava ale that we make here. And we entered it in Fort Myers at the Total Wine, at the Time to Make Wine. So we entered it at Time to Make Wine competition over there. We won first place. So my brother looks at me and says, I think Papa is trying to tell you something. So I said, let's fucking start, finding out how the fuck to get this shit done. Because I know it can't be just as easy as, get an occupational license and start selling beers. And sure enough, it's not. It's a fucking maze. So we go ahead and we start looking for the paperwork. And I go ahead and apply. And when I apply for the name, the name to this place was supposed to have been his legacy in Caribbean craft, meaning my grandfather's legacy. We were going to be working under his legacy.
Yeah.
So we send the paper in, send the $3,000 into the government because it costs $3,000 for you to. On the first application is $3,000, okay, which they don't guarantee that they're going to approve you, but they will take your fucking $3,000. So we send the money in, they send back the paperwork saying too many letters. So then we had to reduce it. We had to reduce it to Legacy Caribbean Craft Brewery, and we sent it right back in. They approved that one. So then right after that, we were on the rush to find a warehouse because they wouldn't continue unless we have a warehouse with water, light, insurance already up to date.
Yeah, you need that physical address
Right.
with everything.
So we
preset.
went ahead and we started doing that. Rent is expensive for a place that you cannot do shit in. So we went to the cheapest place possible, which was on 19th and 141st in Opa-locka, in the middle of the hood. But we didn't care. I'm not scared of being in the hood. I grew up in Northside. The hood don't scare me. So we said, let's be there. We'll wait our time out. Once our time is done, we'll move from there and we'll be in a better place. We went there. We started doing our paperwork. But we didn't know that with the cheap rent comes cheap government. And the city
Gotcha.
here was not the nicest. Okay, the city here was they had a lot of corruption going on. They had people in the city who would show up to your place and try to have you pay them in cash for water bills, for your occupational license, and I don't know if you guys know how much an occupational license costs, but it's somewhere around $300. They wanted $7,000 for the license, and they wanted it in two different payments of $3,500 each.
That sounds a little
So
shady to me.
So I said, fuck you, I'm not doing that. I'm going to fight this shit through. And I started going to all the meetings over here in the city and arguing with all the commissioners there. For about 2 years, they hated me. Every time they saw me, they would tell me to shut up, that I couldn't talk, or they'll cut my time off because I had something to say and I had to say it. Because I was paying all this fucking rent in this fucking place and I wasn't getting my occupational license for me to move forward. Finally, the government decided that they were going to go ahead and start investigating what was going on in this city.
I remember that going through. A lot of heads rolled, right?
I can't say a lot of parts of it, but we were part of the whole investigation that happened there, and they hit the city. Once they hit the city, a new commissioner came in, a new city manager came in. We were strapped for money by that time. The new guy said, please don't leave. Hey, I'm going to try to do whatever I can to fix you up. I know the guys from Miami Brewing Company in the Redlands. The guy said, the new manager that was here. He said, I know them, and they've told me about you guys, because we used to do every beer event that came up on the books. We were there. It didn't matter where it was. We would show up. And we had to put our name somewhere. And we were brewing beers, and we couldn't sell it. So we had to do something. It was either dump it or show up at events and use it as a marketing tool. So we started doing that, using it as a marketing tool. So everybody had heard of us. And everybody always asked, when you gonna open? When you gonna open? And we were like, I don't know, we're trying. So finally this guy says, hold off, don't leave. We said, all right. A month after that, he gets fired. And they bring a new guy in. So I told my brother, I think it's time for us to get the fuck out of here. We did what we needed to do, and I don't think that this business is for us. Okay, we've put already almost 2.5 years into it, and I can't afford to keep on fucking paying for something. Okay, at that time I was working for a pharmaceutical company. I was doing great money in the pharmaceutical company. I had no reason, okay, to go crazy throwing away money at something that wasn't going to work for me. We go ahead. We said, give it 60 days. If in 60 days nothing happens, then hey, at least we tried. Before 60 days, new manager comes into place. New manager calls us in. We already doubt this fucking place. Be honest. we already doubted that anything was going to happen. But the guy that came in said, this other guy who was here before had told me about you guys. The previous city manager told me about you guys. This is the new zoning for the city of Opa-locka. Okay, please find something in this area, not where you're at, because the area that is going to come up first is going to be this area. So he said, what happens if I find a place? Are you gonna sign me off right away? Or do I have to wait another 2 years for me to get something? He goes, if you find a place that is promising in the area that I'm telling you to, you bring it over here and I'll get you your occupational license within 7 days. So I said, it's a promise. He says, it's a promise. I said, all right. I left from there. We started looking for a place. This place came up.
The one that we're sitting in right now.
The one that we're sitting in right now. Not where I first wanted to be at. Well, where I first wanted to be at was the main road on the outside. But when I went back to him, he says, in the map, the main road is not there. On the map that I gave you, you have to be on the inside of the road. So I said, all right. So I came back, and I saw this place, and I was like, you know what? It looks pretty from the outside. Let me check to see if we could afford this place. Sure enough, we could afford the place. So I go back and I said, I found the place. I have a note from the owner of this place that if we get the occupational, we'll sign the contract with them for the place. So I went back and he says, bring me the contract, I'll sign off on it. I said, all right. Came over here, put the down payment, paid everything off, went back over there, he signed off on my occupational license, and my brother and I looked at ourselves like, fuck, what's going on here? And my brother said, Papa is looking at us. Papa is looking over us. There's a reason that all this shit's happening. And I said, you know what? You're right. So we started building this place out. And we try to make it as Caribbean as possible, to make it his legacy in Caribbean craft. Because this place is still his legacy in the Caribbean craft. So we started building it up, and we ended up getting a local artist to the city of Opa-locka to do a painting of my grandfather. I don't have a side view I don't have a picture of my grandfather with a side view. So the only picture that I have is the one that is on the wall on that side, on our legacy poster. Hey, so he and the artist, great artist, his name is James Brutus. James Brutus, A+. He looked at that picture and he said, you look like him a lot. Let me take a picture of you from the side. So he takes a picture of me from the side and took a picture of my grandfather facing front. And he ended up making that painting on top of there of our grandfather looking over us the entire time.
That's amazing. So, and it's perfectly situated to where it does look over you.
So he's looking over us the entire time. So we've gone through a lot of things here in the last 4 years. We celebrated 4 years. Didn't think we were ever going to celebrate 4 years. Didn't think we were going to be able to compete against all the big guys that we have here in Miami and all the money that is in Miami. Okay? We've tried not to be a business that runs on credit, so we have no debt, which is a big difference from everybody else around here. So we've stayed ourselves small, but we've spent a lot of our savings to try to make it happen. But it's okay. Hey, when we celebrated our 4 years this year, my brother and I, we hugged each other and we started crying because to us it was like, fuck, how?
That's kind of amazing. And so obviously you started with those couple of recipes that you sort of inherited from your grandfather. And as you continue, because obviously you have more than two taps, how did you, when you create a recipe, when you create a beer like the wonderful cream ale that I'm having right now, where does that begin? Does it begin with him? Does it begin with your background? Or are you trying to take that and sort of grow from there?
Well, the way that my grandfather taught me how to brew beers was like cooking. He said, everything's like cooking. You taste everything. Yeah, you get the greens, eat the grain. You get the hops, eat the hops. Your brain will tell you what goes with what. Okay? So anything that you want to go ahead and make, you do it by flavor profile that you already know. Because if you're in your house and you're making, I don't know, scrambled eggs, you already know what an egg tastes like. and you already know what you like on top of the eggs. You like a little salt, you like a little pepper, you like whatever it is. You already know exactly how much you put. You're not gonna put a spoonful of salt because you know a spoonful of salt is gonna taste like shit. so you go ahead and you put a little dab of this and a little dab of that. Okay, everything because you've tasted what salt is. You tasted what pepper is. Anytime we're creating a beer here, we go by the flavor profiles that we already know because we've tasted those grains, we've tasted those hops, tasted that fruit, whatever it is that we're gonna make. We already have an idea of what we want, and then we're chasing that. When it came down to the cream ale, we went very traditional with it. We went and we did it with the corn and rice, which a lot of people don't do corn and rice because corn gives you a little weird flavor, but a real cream ale has to have corn or rice.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have it, then it's not a cream ale. It's just a two roll. So
exactly. And so I guess how was the community response? Because Opa-locka is not exactly a place known for craft beer.
Well,
for beer at all, let's be perfectly honest.
The community, meaning the drinkers, or the community, Opa-locka community?
Community Opa-locka. We'll start with that.
Okay, the Opa-locka community, the people who live here like us here. The issue is Opa-locka is a poor city. So the people that live here can't really afford to be drinking over here all the time because we don't sell 25-cent beers. We don't do quarter beers. We don't do dollar beers. Okay, we leave that to the commercial guys. Okay, where we put ourselves is in a level of we're higher end than that. If you want to go to a place that is going to have quality over quantity, then you come here. If you want to just get fucked up, then go there. It's okay. Okay? I don't need that dollar that bad to make it 25-cent beers. The community here likes us. The problem is that the income in this city doesn't support what we sell here. So most of our customers come from outside of here to come drink here. They're not from Opa-locka.
Are they still coming from Miami-Dade, or do you get them from even farther beyond?
We get them as far as Delray, weekly. They'll come here weekly, as far as Delray. And Homestead. They will come here just to fill their growlers, get a couple of cans, get a beer while they're here. We always laugh here because everybody comes in and says, I'm only going to have one. But it's never one. It's never one. They start off with one, and then it goes two, and then it goes three, and then 10 o'clock at night, I'm telling them, hey, we're closing at 10.
That is amazing. And it's funny because one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording is the very corporate nature of what's starting to happen in Miami-Dade craft beer. And you are very defiantly, very proudly not a part of that. Do you see that having a negative impact on your business, the business of the people that are close by? Because you're starting to see some people that are opening up very close to you.
Oh, yeah. They're friends of ours. They're all friends of ours. Okay. And I think that there's enough space here for everybody to do whatever it is they like doing. I see us growing a little bit. I don't see us being this humongous place. I don't want it to be that place. The customers that we have here don't want me to be that place. They all want me to grow, but they want me to stay little, which makes no sense. But I also understand why they want that, because when they come here, they feel home. They don't feel like I'm in this huge place where nobody knows me, and you're selling me a beer and get my dollar. It's not like that. They come here and we talk to everyone. Everyone that comes in here, we have a conversation with them, so they all feel like they're part of. So I don't know. I think that even the guys that have opened close to us have a place. It's just their place doesn't mess with our place. If you want true craft and you want quality over quantity, you will take the drive and you'll come here. If what you want is quantity, then you'll go there. And it's okay. It's okay. Miami has enough people here. There's enough for everybody.
And I will say, because I've been trying your beers for several years now, both on the festival circuit and then coming here a few times. And not only are the beers fantastic, but you are one of the few breweries that I've ever seen that right out the gate branched out into different products. And one of the first things that Steve and I are going to do is completely clean you out of the beer jelly, which you have always done for years. And I've always been curious as to why that's even a thing. How did that even get started?
Well, my mom's sister used to make that. And I started making it because I learned from her recipe to do it. I think that people in Miami haven't done it because
I don't think anybody's really
it's
done
tricky.
it.
See, it's not as easy as I just want to make beer jelly. Let me go ahead and boil it and make beer jelly. It's not that. There's a huge trick to it. And unless someone tells you what that trick is, you will fail many, many times before you even get close to where you're supposed to be at to be able to make the jelly. So until I open my mouth and tell someone how to brew it, I think we might be the only ones for a while making beer jelly.
It looks like we are not going to be getting that secret today, which is perfectly fine.
No, you won't. No, you
Nope,
won't.
not at all. But there's other things, and it's interesting. One of the things that we are enjoying is your own brand of cigar.
Well, we have our own recipe of cigars.
And that's exactly, and that's interesting because you're not the only brewery that has cigars, but it's usually another company
Right.
that they sort of contract. And maybe it's something that's already on the books that cigar company has. Sometimes they'll just flip a new band on it. Sometimes they won't. But this is you.
That is ours.
How, I guess, how did that get started?
Well, it got started. I'm a cigar smoker, and I've tasted a lot of cigars out in the market. There was a lot of things that I liked, very expensive. There was a lot of things I didn't like, and we meaning the people who come here, the guys that come here and the girls that come here, and myself, decided that why not make our own? Why not make a house brand? So I started researching how to get the leaves in, started researching how to roll them and how to get them packed up to be able to have cigars here and to get the license to be able to do so here. Okay, that's another little trick to it. At the end of the day, if you want something bad enough and you're willing to pay it, you will get it. Okay, I was able to find who imports the leaves. We have leaves that come from the number 1, number 2, and number 3 cigar aficionados list of best leaves in the world right now, which is the Nicaraguan Esteli, which we use as our filler. We have the Nicaraguan Jalapa, which we use as our binder, and we have the Dominican Habano, the Habano or Maduro that we use for our wrapper. At the beginning, I tried rolling them myself. There's an art to it, and men are not really the best at rolling cigars. Whenever you see a man rolling a cigar, he's usually the showing off guy.
Interesting.
Women are the ones that they roll the best cigars. They have the soft hands, and they can feel any little bumps in the leaves, and they can actually put them into places where the leaf will still draw. Draw meaning you could smoke right through it without it getting stuck. So I found a lady who works for someone else here, who she was willing to roll my cigars. So she rolled a couple of my cigars. I had the guys over here smoke them. We used to have a Sunday smoke day where all the guys used to come here, we used to smoke up, and they loved it. So I told her, I'm gonna get more leaves. You roll them for me. I'll go ahead and sell them at the brewery. She couldn't do a lot of them. She could do maximum about 250 per month. So I said 250 is more than enough. Okay, I promised that I'm not gonna go ahead and work you up to the point where, this is gonna be out in the market everywhere. And so right from the beginning, I've had 3 companies already offered to buy the recipe for it, and I had to turn them down because I'm not going to work someone who I promised to the bone to make so many cigars for somebody else when right from the beginning she told me clearly, I can do 250 cigars per month for you. That's it. So we have kept it at where the 250 only. And the people only smoke them here. So if you want a cigar, you only have one place to buy it. Here. That's it.
And so to this day, all of the cigars, the ones that we're all enjoying,
Yes.
are hand-rolled by that one woman.
By that one woman.
Who's keeping it low.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. How much of the cigar recipe was influenced by the beers, and how much did the cigars influence the beers that you are making? If
All
any.
the beers influence the recipe that we use for the cigars. If you know anything about cigars, you'll know that Nicaraguan leaves are spicy. Dominican leaves are sweet. So we ended up getting the spice on the inside and the sweetness on the outside. So it complements any style of beer that you're drinking. Doesn't matter if it's a very light beer like the one you're drinking right now with the Clubhouse, or like with the one that you were drinking with the Mulatto, which is our Dominican porter. It will complement anyways, because you're getting the spiciness and the sweetness at the same time.
Finish that answer right in the middle of me taking a draw, so I had to pause for a second. One thing that I have noticed is not here is any sort of food. And since we are just now on the tail end of the COVID-19 shutdown, obviously without a 509, you were not able to serve on premises for a long time. What was the COVID-19 shutdown like for you?
It was hell. It was really hell. We had planned to move to a bigger location here in Opa-locka. We were going to go to the historical train station in the city of Opa-locka. So we were holding off on any upgrades and any equipment until we got to the new place. Pre-COVID. COVID came around and everything got put on hold. We were stuck in this location here, but people couldn't come in here to drink. So we hadn't done cans before this thing. We weren't going to do cans until we moved out of here. We ended up rushing to do cans so that we can actually have people drive by, pick up their whatever stash it was that they needed, cigars, beers, wines, and then go. And thanks to that, we were able to, I think, survive the COVID shutdown, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to sell anything. No one could sit here. Our distribution couldn't sell anything because no one was going to bars. So our distributors couldn't sell anywhere. So we really would have been out of business right now.
But once again, the community sort of stepped up and stepped in. And
Yep. We have a great community. The people that follow us, the people that come here and that follow us, they're great people and they understand what we're about. That's why I say that there's enough for everybody here. In Miami, there's enough for everybody. Not everybody likes being stuck in a huge place. Not everybody likes being stuck in the latest and the greatest. Okay? Some people look for traditional. And I think we are that little traditional spot that they want to get away from. And even though when we've gone to events and people ask, because they taste our beers first, and they know, they're laughing because they did the last event before the whole craziness. And the people always ask, where are you guys located? And from the moment that we say Opa-locka, the word right after that is Opa-locka. Like why Opa-locka? And to us is, why not Opa-locka? Okay? We understand Opa-locka has a weird history where people were afraid to come here or whatnot, but that was 1980s. Okay? We're way past that. Okay? Nothing bad happens in the city of Opa-locka that doesn't happen anywhere else. Okay? We've been here, we hadn't had one bad thing happen to us. We hadn't had one customer, anything happen to them in this city. Okay? We know other cities that have. We know other places that people have gone to drink that things have happened to. Okay? Hasn't happened here. The notion that Opa-locka is still the old Opa-locka needs to be erased from people's heads. And I don't know if it needs to happen like what Carol City did by changing their name to Miami Gardens, and then people forgot what Carol City is, and they still walk into the same place that Carol City was in, but now since it's Miami Gardens, it's, hey, we're okay now. It's Miami Gardens. I don't know if that needs to happen over here too, but there's a lot of potential in this city. If people give it a shot and they give it, and they just, hey, let me take a drive, let me go see what it's about, they'll see that this place is great. We might not have $1 million houses, still great. Okay? If you want good beers, you want a good place to hang out, you want anything, you can find it. It's not going to be the new Tobacco Road. It's not going to be the new Brickell High. No, it's none of that. This is Opa-locka.
Awesome. So obviously, hopefully that vision will change in people's heads, and it sounds like you kind of want to be a part of that. What's the next step for Legacy? Are you going to be content where you are for a little while, or are you trying to do a little bit more?
Well, we're looking to grow a little. We are looking right now for a bigger place so that we can bring in the new equipment and the space for new customers to come in and sit in. Is it going to happen in Opa-locka? I don't know. If it does, it would be great, because we've been here long enough to try to make a difference in this place. If it doesn't happen here, we'll still move forward. We will still be Legacy. Well, no matter where we go, we're still going to be his legacy. We're still going to have the same feel, the same. You come in and everybody says hi to you. The same. You want to taste something, we give you taste. Okay? We're not going to treat you like you're just a dollar bill, because it's not the way that we like to be treated. Since we don't like to be treated as a dollar bill, we don't treat people as dollar bills. So we are going to grow. We're just not going to be this monstrosity place. It's never going to be a monstrosity place.
And it seems like it's sort of a detriment to your legacy if you did try to become that monstrosity.
Right. It will go against us. If you ever see it happening, if you personally see it happening, know that I was not part of that.
Gotcha. I don't think he would be happy looking down
he
on
wouldn't.
it.
He wouldn't. I think he would close it down.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey there, fellow Florida beer enthusiast. We now have an official Patreon. In case you are unfamiliar, Patreon is a great way for a community to support the creators of the content you love, like the Florida Beer Podcast. If you're enjoying the content we bring you on this show, or any of the shows on the Florida Podcast Network, you can help ensure that content keeps coming through for a small monthly donation equal to the price of a couple cups of coffee a month. So for just a few lattes, you can make a real difference. And the first goal of FPN's Patreon program is to help me get a better mobile setup to use whenever I can start traveling to great breweries here in the state of Florida. So if today's episode brought you valuable insights and information, please help see that these episodes keep coming by becoming a patron. Head to patreon.com/Florida Podcast Network to support the show, and it comes with some pretty sweet benefits. Want access to bonus extras? Nostalgic for these old school radio shoutouts? Lover of good quality merchandise? Well, not only will your monthly contribution help me grow the show, but you'll get some cool stuff in return. So please head to patreon.com/Florida Podcast Network for further details to become a patron. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Florida Podcast Network. You can also find the link right there in the show notes or by visiting floridabeerpodcast.com. Thank you in advance for your continued support. Ismael's a great guy. He makes a fantastic beer. I know producer Steve had a pint of his Mulatto Dominican Porter, which may be one of the best dark beers in all of Miami-Dade County, if not the state of Florida. Yes, I said it. I'm sticking by it. But they definitely do not get the attention they deserve, so make sure to go down there, grab some attention, have one of their cigars. I think I still have one in my humidor from New Air, and enjoy a fantastic, homegrown, honest experience in a Florida craft beer.